President Bola Tinubu departs Rio de Janeiro after extensive consultations and deliberations at G20 Leaders Summit. Katsina State Government inaugurates new secondary schools on the Adolescent Girls Initiative for Learning and Empowerment Project. And Governor Bala Mohammed of Bauchi State planned integration of Islamia schools into Western education. Hello and welcome to the news desk at 6 on Nta News24, live from Abuja. I am Olajide Bello. President Bola Tinubu and First Lady Oluremi have departed Rio de Janeiro after attending the 2024 G20 Leadership Summit. Nigerian presidential airplane took off at the Gileo Air Force Base, Rio de Janeiro, at about 20 minutes past 10 a.m. local time. Nigeria was invited as a guest country for participation at the summit of the 20th biggest economies in the world. At the summit, President Bola Tinubu announced commitment of Nigeria to the Global Alliance Against Hunger and Poverty launched by the Brazilian presidency of G20. The Nigerian leader also had some bilateral meetings and saw to the signing of letter of intent for Nigeria's partnership with 3 Brazilian countries to facilitate development of Nigeria's livestock sector. And to education now, Katsina State Government says the World Bank's approval for the second phase of the Adolescent Girls Initiative for Learning and Empowerment, AGILE, is a strategic move towards complementing efforts to promote development in girl-child education. Governor Diko Rada said this during the inauguration of the first phase of the school construction project in Katsina. Awal Haliru reports.
The first phase of the initiative supported the construction of 75 secondary schools across the state. Governor Dikorada highlighted the World Bank's crucial role in enhancing the learning ecosystem of the state. The governor appreciated the inclusion of teacher training, ICT skills, empowerment programs, and essential facilities like laboratories
and all other things that are needed in the class to function. And I'm glad that the project is concentrating again on the issue of teachers training.
The state government has also announced plans to publish a recent competency test for secondary school management and construct 3 special model secondary schools in each senatorial district in the state.
The project includes collaboration, for example, with the traditional leaders and the religious leaders to encourage girls to stay in school.
Continuous quality assurance support to schools has been prioritized, and the ministry has digitized the quality assurance checks.
The AGILE program has received over 30 billion naira from the World Bank, with plans to extend teacher training, capacity building, and entrepreneurship skills program in the second phase. Awal Haliru, Nta News.
Meanwhile, Bauchi State Governor Bala Mohammed says his administration is in the process of integrating Islamia schools into the formal education sector for their students to compete with their counterparts in Nigeria and beyond. The Bauchi State Deputy Governor Muhammad Awal Jato stated this while closing the 39th Quranic competition. Awal Abdullahi reports.
This is Nafiu Rilwanu, a contestant from Tafawa Balewa local government who emerged as overall winner in the just concluded Bauchi Quranic competition, while Aisha Imam Abba of Katagum local government won the women category.
وَإِنَّكَ لَتَهْدِي إِلَى صِرَاطٍ مُسْتَقِيمٍ
The contingents were advised on the need to put into practice what they have learned before, during and after the competition.
It is gratifying to note that since the inception of the Musabaka in 1986, delegate from Bauchi State has been making excellent outings at both national and international levels of the competition.
The winners are to represent Bauchi State in the next national competition scheduled to hold in Kebbi State. In Bauchi, Awwal Abdullahi, NTA News.
The House of Representatives has pledged support for legislations and policies that encourage investment in Nigerian youth, especially in the area of education. Speaker of the House, Tajuddin Abbas, is when he received the Fellows of the Mandela Washington Fellowship Alumni Association of Nigeria, the National Assembly. He extolled young Nigerians who have excelled in the fellowship program organized by the U.S. Department of State, pointing out that Parliament will continue to support the student loan scheme of the Tinubu administration, which places premium on shaping the future of the nation's youth through education.
So that make sure that no child, no youth can complain of not going to the university because of finances. Mr. President has accepted that in 2025, the budget of this particular scheme will most likely be doubled, so that we can at least ensure that we take a minimum of 200,000 students on this particular scheme.
About 678 Nigerians have so far participated in the Mandela Washington Fellowship. Following NTA's persistent reports on the devastation caused by erosion at Aba, Abia State, a contract has been awarded by the state government to fill the erosion and asphalt the road. Ikechukwu Ndukwe has an update.
Before Governor Alex Oti awarded a contract to fill the earth and asphalt the road.
We will do sizable drainages when we get to the formation level. We do sizable drainages to take care of the storm water that actually caused the erosion in the first place. So we're doing drainage to take care of the storm water that is coming in, and we'll do stone base after that, and we'll do the final phase, which is asphalt, 2 layers of asphalt on top of it.
The erosion has submerged worship centers, shops and houses, forcing many to relocate out of fear. Just as many can no longer access their homes due to the ravaging erosion.
And people know they come to buy something again for our hand because of the bad road.
It has not been easy for us, based on the erosion and everything. We experienced a lot here, based on the erosions and the water flows. It has not really been easy for us here. But based on what I'm seeing, I think the governor is really trying.
Now, OK and Joel, an indigenous construction company, is now on site to change the narratives. The first phase of clearing the debris and filling the deep is ongoing, as the company promised to finish up the job in 4 months.
A lot of people are beginning to heave a sigh of relief because the governor, Alex Oti, has come to their rescue as he has awarded contract to fill the road and asphalt it. In Aba, Ikechukwu Ndukwe, NTA News.
The Resource Center for Human Rights and Civic Education has hailed the Supreme Court's recent ruling upholding the legitimacy of Nigeria's key anti-corruption agencies, marking a significant victory in the country's battle against corruption. The applause was made by the center's Executive Director Ibrahim Zakirullahi at a media briefing in Abuja.
At CRASE, we firmly believe that those who have nothing to hide should have nothing to fear from anti-corruption agencies. The Supreme Court judgment is a call to action for the agencies to intensify their efforts in holding public officials accountable. For those who have lost this case, the message is clear: impunity will no longer be tolerated.
He commended the Supreme Court's rejection of a lawsuit filed by 16 state governors which sought to challenge the operations of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, the Independent Corrupt Practices Commission, ICPC, and the Nigeria Financial Intelligence Unit, NFIU. The Nigeria Data Protection Commission and National Insurance Commission have formalized a working relationship that will provide a framework for data protection in the country's insurance sector. National Commissioner NDPC Vincent Olatuji and Chief Executive Officer NICAN Olusegun Omoseyin stressed the need for both federal government agencies to work together and create an impenetrable ecosystem of data protection and privacy. The collaboration aims to thoroughly examine and implement measures that will ensure compliance with relevant regulatory instruments governing data protection as applicable to the insurance sector. NDPC and NICAM will further strengthen data compliance practices and uphold privacy standards within the insurance sector. These both agencies believe will foster a secure and legally compliant environment for handling personally identifiable information. Countries in the world are being urged to work together as there is no one-size-fits-all prescription to overcome climate and energy challenges. This formed the core takeaway from OPEC Secretary General's speech at COP29, but Lydia Sampson has the details.
Almost 180 years on from the birth of petroleum in the world, petroleum and petroleum-derived products continue to shape how people heat and cool their homes, construct buildings, and transport ourselves from one point to another, as oil and gas remains vital to producers and consumers around the world. OPEC Secretary General Haitham Al-Hayes reiterates inclusive dialogue and international cooperation be adopted going forward as the world works towards building a sustainable future for all.
There remain around 685 million people around the world without access to electricity and 2.1 billion who continue to rely on unsafe and inefficient cooking fuels. The great challenge at hand is ensuring energy accessibility, meeting rising energy demand, enhancing energy security while maintaining energy affordability, and of course, reducing emissions.
He said OPEC has consistently advocated a balanced approach where nothing and no one should be dismissed, stressing the need to embrace all energies, leverage all the available technologies, and ensure that the needs of all people around the world are taken into account. This means recognizing that the focus of the Paris Agreement is reducing emissions, not choosing energy sources. And as Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, each party has the right to chart its own pathway to a sustainable future. Lydia Sampson, Nta News.
This is the news desk at 6 on Nta News24. More reports after this break. Thanks for being there. Achieving 0% road traffic crash during this ember period is achievable if motorists will adhere strictly to road traffic rules and regulations. National President of Rousseau and Officer Shehu Mohammed said this when she led other members of the association on a visit to the National Trauma Center and Emergency Unit at the National Hospital Abuja as part of activities to mark this year's World Remembrance Day of Road Traffic Crashes Victims. Oyeyemi Ajayi has details.
Is lined up by the Road Safety Officers' Wives Association, ROSOA, to commemorate this year's World Remembrance Day of Road Traffic Crashes Victims with a theme that day: Remember, Support and Act. The Accident and Emergency Ward, Intensive Care Unit, Pediatrics Unit, amongst others, were visited with different items including wheelchairs, crutches, stretchers and sanitary pads, aside cash gifts presented to patients. The Rousseau National President sympathizes with the victims and families of those who lost their lives in road accidents, calling on stakeholders in the transport sector to give maximum support for effective traffic management in the country.
We're here to see that, to yearn, to advocate for a zero crash victim routes and roads while we commute our roads, while we travel, so that we can all travel and come back safely to our loved ones.
This will resonate hope for those who are injured, are in the hospital waiting for recovery. This has a way of helping them to recover.
It's really honoring and inspiring. You know, they're here to encourage us to take some necessary protective measures to ensure that we avoid, road accidents or incidents.
The Rosowa National President, however, expressed readiness to collaborate with other stakeholders in ensuring safety on the highways. Oyeyemi Ajayi, NTA News.
The leadership of the Grassroots Mobilizers for Better Nigeria initiative has presented its initiative fact, a community all-of-society approach to combat human trafficking and its associated effects, to the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons. The advocacy visit is to seek support of NAPTIP to strengthen grassroots engagement and reduce vulnerabilities across communities.
As the grassroots focus organization, we said, okay, why don't we complement NAPTIP so in such a way operate deeply in the grassroots level. So that's informed us to come up with a community all-of-society approach to combat human trafficking and its associated effects.
If we put our heads together and work together, we'll be able to achieve a reasonable percentage of bringing this menace down. So I want to assure this NGO from the day, the very first day I met your founder and the chairman, we had a robust discussion, and I look at her and say, well, if I succeed, you succeed. If I fail, you fail. So this is a collective responsibility.
The Director General of NAPTIP, Binta Damobello, stressed the importance of collaboration in fighting human trafficking. She reaffirmed NAPTIP's commitment to partnering with organizations to enhance community awareness. The federal government is adopting a study, verbal and social autopsy, VASA, a data-gathering initiative to give more insight into causes of neonatal child and maternity mortality, which will ultimately provide information for targeted investment in closing gaps in Nigeria's health sector. Oluseyi Adiagbo reports that the study is driven by the National Population Commission with support from the Ministry of Health and Social Welfare and other relevant ministries, departments and agencies.
Nigeria's effort on taming maternal and child mortality has been slow. In the NDHS 2018, the country's maternal mortality ratio was estimated to be 512 deaths per 100,000 live births. And in the recent UNICEF reports on the state of the Nigeria's children, the data has risen to more than 1,000 per 100,000 live births.
Every available tool must be deployed to combat and curb this challenge in our society. This, therefore, brings us to the imperatives of generating reliable data on the causes and determinants of neonatal deaths, infant deaths, as well as child mortality in Nigeria.
The National Population Commission, the agency of government mandated to generating and providing demographic data for planning purposes, is working on a new research, verbal and social autopsy, VASA.
The Commission is strategically prepared and committed to generating the data to aid planning in the health sector, and to this end, all necessary steps have been put in place to make sure that the 2024 VASA study is successfully implemented. I am very optimistic that the data will be used by policymakers as well as planners.
The exercise for VASA study data collection, which began on 4th of November across the 36 states of the Federation and the LCT, is fixed for completion December 15, 2024. In Abuja, Oluseyi Adiagbo, NTA News.
As the week-long activities for the 65th National Council on Health aimed at advancing the successful realization of the 2030 universal health coverage comes to a close, Minister of Health Professor Muhammad Ali Party has called for swift implementation of deliberations made during the meeting to ensure overall transformation of Nigeria's healthcare system. Tina Toro reports.
At the closing session, the National Council on Health focused on key areas, including the establishment of the Family Health Department and strategies for improving maternal, newborn, child, adolescent, as well as elderly healthcare services. Several policy documents were officially launched as part of determination to ensure a robust outcome. Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Muhammad Ali Party, who launched the documents, emphasized their significance in improving the Nigerian healthcare system.
Integration of Islamia schools into Western education. A community leader, foremost educationist, unifying figure and former administrator in the Federal Capital Territory, Nuhu has passed on. He retired as the Director of Administration, FCT Secondary Board, and worked as Head of Administration, Al-Manar Schools, Abuja, aged 70, and has since been buried at the Gudu Cemetery after Dahur prayers. And that's the news desk at 6 on Nta News 24. Thanks for watching. I am Olajide Bello.